We live in a culture of constant noise, endless distraction, and pressing deadlines. The relentless pace of life creates increasing drag on our souls, weighing us down. We may do more and get more done, but at what cost? Often the cost is the nourishment of our own inner lives. One of the things that often gets cast aside is reading in solitude. It seems like a luxury few of us can afford with any regularity, but quieting ourselves to read will change us in ways that can never happen in the mayhem of daily life. Here are 5 important ways. Number 1, reading in solitude can refresh us with a proper sense of escape from the world. This is especially true of myths and fairy tales. Tolkien thought that such escape was not the escape of a deserter, but the escape of a prisoner. Myths put form to ancient longings, ones that have been largely stifled or disordered by our fall from God. To enter the world of myth is to find relief for those longings. I certainly found this to be the case when I picked up and read George MacDonald's Lilith. The hero of the story enters an alternate reality through a magic mirror in an attic. That reality became the place where I felt the longing surface to find a guide and to take a great quest. Number 2, reading in solitude can offer astonishing insights. One of the downsides of today's news and social media is that it is miles wide and only a few inches deep. To probe into the complexity of reality requires time and attention that reading can offer. We may not go as wide, but we can certainly go a lot deeper. I will never forget my experience of reading Pascal's Pensées, his pungent defense of Christianity. I was sitting out on a picnic table on a warm April afternoon after teaching high school one day. The sun was caressing my face. As I began to read, I turned to a page where Pascal describes how we experience reality as fallen creatures. He described exactly what I had felt for years, but had never been able to articulate. In that moment, I understood as I never had before. Number 3, reading in solitude can entertain us in ways that other mediums can't. The subtle play on words, the exercise of the imagination, the twists of the plot can thrill us and delight us. I still enjoy going to the movies, but sometimes I leave exhausted because my senses have been overloading. But reading is much gentler to our sensibilities. Recently, I picked up the Father Brown detective stories by Chesterton. I was completely dazzled by the diminutive priest who looks like a bumbling fool, but whose agile logic solves the most puzzling of crimes. The dry humor sprinkled throughout only added to the pleasure of that read. Number 4, reading in solitude can give us much needed gifts. Sometimes a gift is offered to us in our reading that shows the way forward in a difficult situation or gives us confidence to make a hard decision. I believe these gifts, like all good gifts, comes from the Lord Himself. He is able to use anything to answer our prayers, even our unspoken prayers. This has happened to me many times. One of the most poignant ones happened to me while I was reading Boys in the Boat, the epic tale of the 1936 American rowing team. The story centers around one of the rowers who was abandoned by his father and then left to fend for himself as a teenager. His redemption came when he had to trust his fellow rowers with his very life in the race that won them Olympic gold. It was just the gift that I needed. Soon after I read it, I decided to trust some close brothers who affirmed me and encouraged me to say yes to a hard task at hand. I have never regretted the decision to do so. And lastly, number 5, reading in solitude becomes an echo of walking with God. The first thing all art asks of us, including all books, is surrender. We enter what Coleridge called the willing suspension of disbelief. We put aside the eye of the critic and the distant observer and enter the story. We let it take us wherever it may go. In that act of surrender, we learn to receive what the story can offer us. But we are also patterning our souls for something higher, for what God asks of us. It is to put aside our resistance and our stiff arm and let God take us wherever He desires, trusting that what He offers us is in our best interests. This afternoon, I'll be exercising on a stationary bike with a book in hand. Who knows what surprise may await me? Who knows what insight may change me? I can't wait to find out.